New advocate. The mother of a 24-year-old boy battling terminal cancer has spoken out on the issue. Lucy Haslam actually spoke to Sunday Night last night. There are over 50,000 signatures on a petition that she's compiled to legalise the drug, and Dr Alex Wodak, he's the president of the Australian Drug Law Reform Foundation, and joins us now. Lucy was pretty powerful last night on Sunday Night, Doctor. Why do you think medicinal marijuana should be legalised?
Well, basically because it works. It's not a panacea. It's not a cure-all for everything, but it's a very helpful second-line drug, especially when the first-line drugs have failed. Distressing symptoms in often serious medical conditions, and the case for doing this is overwhelming.
Well, what are the objections?
Well, it's really a bias about keeping everything the same. There's no serious opposition to it apart from the politicians. There's nobody saying, let's not do it. Even Barnaby Joyce said that if he was in Dan Haslam's shoes, he'd do exactly the same as what Dan Haslam's doing. If this was about any of our loved ones, we would want them to have relief from distressing symptoms. Why not do it?
And can you tell us the exact, because a lot of people think, but how does that actually help people who are sick? Can you tell us some of the uses that it has and some of the benefits it can have?
Well, there are about half a dozen major indications for using it. This one that Dan Haslam unfortunately has, that is persistent severe nausea and vomiting after cancer chemotherapy when the first-line drugs haven't worked. Spasticity in multiple sclerosis is another one. Severe wasting in cancer and AIDS. That's not as common as it used to be, but it's still a problem. Severe chronic pain, non-cancer pain. There's some of the indications, and the evidence for them is overwhelming. There are 82 randomised controlled trials that support the use of medicinal cannabis, and only 9 randomised controlled trials. That's the best, most stringent kind of evidence. Only 9 against.
Sorry, you go.
Doctor, in regards to the medicinal use of it, it's used in many other countries. Why are we not using it here? We even saw on that show on Sunday Night last night, there was a mother that had said it had made a marked difference to her child with cerebral palsy.
Well, because the politicians, unfortunately, and this is true across all the parties, it's not true just of Ms Skinner, they lack courage. They have such a bias towards doing what we are doing now forever, and they don't want to look at the evidence. The evidence is clear. It's effective, it's safe, and it would also probably save us money.
In the United States, we're seeing a lot of states passing it as legal now, but you can get it pretty easily. You can be prescribed medicinal marijuana for things for depression and anxiety and those types of things. Would we have tougher guidelines here in Australia if it was to be legalised?
22 states plus Washington DC have medicinal cannabis in the United States, and 11 of those states passed it through ballot initiatives and the remainder through the legislature. Where it's gone through legislation, the controls are much tighter than when it's gone through ballot initiatives. We would be doing it through legislation, not a ballot initiative, so we would have the option of doing this in a fairly restricted way initially, seeing how it goes, and then expanding it if a case can be made for expanding it.
We have heard, sorry to interrupt, we have heard how much benefit that medicinal marijuana can give, but what about psychosis and mental problems that it can often trigger in people?
Well, a lot of the concern about that is concern about recreational cannabis. And here we're talking about a medicinal product that would be standardised, produced to high quality and consistent quality, and that would be prescribed for a finite period. Different story. We don't judge the safety of alcohol by looking at bootleg liquor, and we shouldn't judge the safety of medicinal cannabis by looking at bootleg cannabis.
All right, Dr Alex Wodak, thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's a really interesting issue, and if you would like to take a look at Lucy's petition, head to change.org.au.